Thank you so much, Christine. Okay, make sure I can see everybody. Welcome, hello everyone. And we are gonna do some yoga tonight. So I thought we would try some new things tonight. So we'll do some regular things, yoga things we've done before, and we'll also introduce some new words, some new yoga postures, and look at trying new things. And the cool thing about that is that adapting to new situations helps us to be flexible and to practice being flexible so that when new things come our way, unexpected challenges, we're a little more ready to handle them. I'm a little out of breath from our dance warm up personally. So the things that you'll need to get started for this trying new things yoga session, a yoga mat or a towel or just a big carpeted area, someplace soft, because we'll be on our knees a little bit. So you want to make sure that your knees have a little bit of padding. A yoga mat or a towel or a blanket works great. If you are joining us from a chair, we will have chair options throughout. You will want blocks, or I know most of us don't have blocks at home, but you can use like a shoebox or a book or something like that, just so when you come to bring your hands down in front of you, you don't have to reach all the way to the ground. You can put them on the blocks. So if you have any kind of thing that you can rest your hands on from your chair, you'll want to go ahead and put that in front of you now. And then even if you're practicing on a mat today, you're actually going to want an object like a steady chair that you can rest a hand on, because we're going to be balancing on one foot an awful lot. So you're going to want to be able to kind of rest a hand here so you can do some balance poses. So you can use a chair, you can just move towards a wall or a steady table, any kind of balance object. So you'll just want to make sure that that's nearby or that you move to your balance object. All right. And with that, let's go ahead and get started. So coming into any sort of seated position, you can be seated in your chair or you can be seated on your mat. And we're just going to start by noticing our breath. And you might bring the hands to the belly or to the outside of the ribs, but find a place where you can feel, like physically feel your breath moving in and out of your body. And there's no right or wrong way to be. We're just noticing where our breath is now. So if you're like me, you might be breathing a little heavy from our dance warm up we did. And just noticing that, seeing how that feels in your body. And then starting to deepen your breath. So you might take really deep breaths in through your nose. And you might let it out of your nose or out of your mouth if that feels best. Deepening the breath here. And you can relax your hands down. And we're gonna do some ocean breaths together. And I think we've done these before. It's like when you're fogging up a mirror, you go when you're breathing out, but you might close your mouth. So it goes an out breath you can hear. If that feels too complicated, don't worry about it. But that's called ocean breath. I think we've done that one before. And the yoga name for it is Ujjayi, which is kind of a fun word. So if you want to say that to yourself a couple times, Ujjayi, Ujjayi. We're doing Ujjayi breath. So if you want to do the heavy breathing sound, you can, or just breathe normally, and let's do 3 together. So take a deep breath in, sweep your arms out and up, reach towards the sky, starting to warm up the side body, hands come together, down in front of your heart. As we exhale, beautiful. Inhale again, sweep the arms out and up. Hands come together, exhale, hands to heart center. Our Ujjayi breath, and again, inhale the arms out and up. And together, exhale the hands to heart center. Perfect, you can relax your hands down. Coming on into a kneeling position, if you're on your mat, or if you're in your chair, you're just gonna sit up straight. We're gonna do our kneeling sun salutations, which we've done before, but our new thing is that we're going to add in a couple of twists at the end of our sequence. So I'm gonna turn to the side so you can see me. You're gonna start kneeling and go ahead and sit back onto your feet. And again, if you're in your chair, you're just following along with the upper body, but make sure you have your objects in front of you for your hands. Great. So we start, if you remember, by sweeping our hands out and up as we come up high onto our knees. And then nice and slow, bringing our hands down to the mat or to our blocks in front of us. So we're on our hands and knees. This is our tabletop position. And then you're gonna drop the belly, lift the heart. You might look up here. This is our cow pose. And then you're gonna push the floor away, round your spine and let your head fall for cat pose. And then walking your hands back, sweeping the arms out and up again. Here's where we add something new. Go ahead and twist open to one side. Either side, we're about to do the other side next. Back through center, and then twist your open arms to the other side. Back through center, and hands to heart center as we sit back down. Beautiful. So let's do that again. And I'm gonna cue the inhale and the exhale, so the in-breath and the out-breath. If that doesn't make sense to you, just breathe on your own. Make sure you're taking nice deep breaths, but you can follow my inhale and exhale cues if you want. So inhale, sweep the arms out and up, reach up. Exhale, put the hands down to the floor, to the blocks in front of you for tabletop. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the heart. Exhale, round the spine, let the head fall. Inhale, walk the hands back into you and sweep the arms up. Exhale, twist open one direction. Inhale, arms back to center. Exhale, twist open the other direction. Inhale, back through center. And exhale, sit back down, hands to heart center. That's great. Let's do it one more time. And remember, yoga is about how we feel, not about how we look. So if you don't get it exactly like I'm doing it, don't worry about it. Just keep going. So inhale the arms out and up, reach up, high onto our knees. Exhale, plant the hands for our tabletop position. Inhale, drop the belly, a little bit of a back bend. Exhale, round the spine, push the floor away. And then inhale, we're gonna sweep our arms out and up again. Exhale, twist open to one side. Inhale, back through center, arms up. Exhale, twist open the other way. Inhale, back through center. And exhale, have a seat back down. All right, looking great. If you are in your chair, you're going to stay seated straight up, nice and tall. If you're on the mat, we're gonna come into a standing position. So if you're on your mat, go ahead and crawl back out into our tabletop position. Tuck your toes under you, and then lift your hips up into your downward dog position, and your knees can be bent if that feels better. But just our hands and our feet are on the floor, and then nice and slow, walk your feet to come up behind your hands. And then we're just gonna really slowly roll up to standing. Slow as you can go. Nice and controlled, very good. So now is where you're gonna wanna make sure you have your balance object. I'm gonna move back a little bit so you can see the top of my head. Okay, so make sure that you have your balance object nearby because we're gonna be standing on one foot, okay? So go ahead and wiggle one foot. This works best actually right now if you mirror me. So if your mat is forward and back, go ahead and put it out to the side. This is gonna work best if you mirror me here. So go ahead and wiggle one leg. This will probably be your left leg you'll start with if you're gonna mirror me here. Good. And then bring that wiggly leg, bring that foot pressed against your ankle of your standing leg, and bring your hands to your heart or put a hand on your balance object for our tree pose. If you really want to challenge your balance today, you might bring the bottom of your foot to your calf, but you can always keep the toes on the floor. Beautiful. And now from our tree pose, I'm going to turn to the side here. From our tree pose, float our leg out in front of us here, just as high as it feels good. And again, having a hand on your balance object on your wall is going to feel really good. So floating our leg out in front of us. And then we're going to nice and slowly float the leg out behind us. Again, with our hand on a balance object if that feels good, but this is our warrior 3 position here. And then go ahead and step those left toes back onto your mat and bend your front knee. And now if you're in your chair, you're doing the same thing. You're just resting the thigh on the chair and you're gonna look like this. So bring the arms up for our crescent moon pose. High on our back toes, front knee bent. Getting a little bouncy, sometimes that feels good to help us with our balance. And your balance object is always here for you if you're standing and you need that there. And then go ahead and open out towards your screen for your warrior 2 position. So our front leg is still bent, but our body is open more towards the side for our warrior 2. Take some deep breaths here, feeling this really strong yoga position. We've done this one before if we've done yoga together, but it's always a good one to revisit. And when you're ready, straighten your front leg. Straighten your whole body so both of your feet are going to be pointed towards your screen now. And the hands come out to the side. So this is our star pose. And we're going to go right into warrior 2 on the other side. So you're going to go ahead and face, let's see, this will be to your left, I believe. But mirroring me is probably the easiest way to do this. So opening to our screen, we're just doing warrior 2 the other way. Great job, everybody. So nice and strong in our warrior 2. We can see that our front knee is right over that ankle. Our bodies are up nice and straight and strong. Your stance might be shorter or it might be longer. Find what feels good for you. And again, if you're in your chair, you're just resting your body on the chair, but the body's in the same position here. And now we're gonna take our hips and face them towards our front leg. So we're gonna come high onto our back toes. Getting a little bouncy sometimes helps here for our crescent pose. Great job, everybody. So you're just facing over your front leg in our crescent moon pose. Definitely have your balance object nearby because we're going to start to lift our back leg. Yeah, this is pretty challenging. So if you fall out of it, don't worry about it. Just get right back in. And then that's our warrior 3 position. And then we're gonna put our leg out in front of us. So float your leg out in front. You can see my hands on my balance object as well. And then slowly bring your leg back to meet your standing leg. And we'll come back into our tree position. Great. And we'll start this way. So doing tree pose the other way here. So wiggle this leg here. The leg that's on this side. Oh gosh, I'm getting confused with my right and left. So go ahead and wiggle the other leg that you didn't start with. And we're gonna move backwards through that whole thing, which is a kind of a new experience for me as well. But I thought we'd all try something new together. So with our tree pose here, it'll probably be your right leg that's in your tree pose. Go ahead and put your hand on your balance object and shoot that right leg out in front of you. Beautiful. And then you're gonna float that leg back behind you. Good. With the hand on our balance object, finding some stillness, keeping those really deep breaths going, that's important. And then stepping your back toes down on the ground, bending our front leg, maybe bending our back leg a little bit here. Sweep the arms up for our crescent pose. Getting a little bit bouncy, you might move your feet. to a position that feels best for you. There's no right way to do any of these poses. It's all going to be what feels the best in your body. And then when you're ready, open up towards your screen for our warrior two. Good, and you can face your hands towards the floor. So you're nice and strong in your warrior two. And again, if you're in your chair, you're just resting your bottom on the chair, but your body is in the same shape. Really strong warrior twos. And then straighten that front leg and face all 10 toes towards your screen, opening back up into our star pose. Really great. And then we're going to just turn the other direction for our warrior two on our other side. So still open towards our screen, we just switched our warrior two. Our front knee is right about over that ankle, shoulders are over our hips, and we are super strong in our warrior twos. Our legs are working really hard. You can feel that front thigh working, and we're taking our really deep yogic breaths. Still sticking with that Ujjayi breath. Now from here, hands to the hips and turn those hips towards your front leg. So coming up high onto our back toes. And sweep the arms up above you. Maybe bounce a little bit up and down if that helps keep the balance for our crescent pose. Deep breaths here. Feeling really strong in this pose. You might keep your hand on your balance object if that feels good. You might bring your hands to your hips if that's better. It's all about what feels the best in your body. I know some of us like to take the hands to the heart center as well. That can help us feel balanced. And then putting one hand on your balance object, maybe a hand on your hip. Go ahead and lift that back leg out behind you, just a little bit off the floor, and then float it out in front of you. And then set it down. Really great. Let's do some more expressions of our tree pose. You did a great job going back and forth through that. So go ahead and wiggle one leg again, coming into our tree pose. I'd encourage you to have a hand on your balance object as well. And then with your hand on your balance object, only if you're touching that, challenge yourself by moving your leg up your tree pose a little bit. So if your toes are on the floor, maybe you bring the bottom of the foot to the calf, making sure we're staying really safe by resting a hand on an object that's going to help us be steady. And then let's bring our hands to our heart center. Nice deep breaths here. And then when you're ready, go ahead and grow your tree branches out and up, maybe keeping one hand on your balance object if that feels good. You can be a one-sided tree, which is also great. Or you might take both hands up. But know that your balance object is always there if you need something to rest your hand on. There's nothing wrong with taking a little bit of support when you need it. And then resting those hands down. Staying in our tree pose now, and with a hand on your balance object, go ahead and point your knee out forward. And it's the same thing if you're in your chair, your leg is just out forward, just the same way. And go ahead and reach behind you. See if your foot is available for you to grab. And then with your hand on your balance object, you might start to lean forward just a little bit here. If you want to challenge yourself by taking your hand off the balance object, maybe lifting it up, you can. But I would encourage you to, while we're trying new things, give yourself the support that you need. So maybe leaning forward, maybe you stay straight up. This is our dancer pose. Taking our really deep breaths here. Notice if you're holding your breath in our challenging poses, and see if you can keep that nice, deep Ujjayi breathing going. And then slowly release that back foot and shake the legs out. Maybe roll the ankles a bit. And we'll move into our full expression of our tree pose and our dancer on the other side. So go ahead and wiggle your opposite leg. Coming into our tree pose, maybe taking our tree pose a step up from where it was. And our hands at heart center, perhaps our hands at our hips, or a hand on our balance object, such as a chair or a wall. But find what feels good to you here. And maybe you challenge yourself and you fall over, and that's great too. That means that you tried something new and you fell over, which is totally fine. That's always gonna happen when you try something new. And then grow one or both of your tree branches out and up in their full expression of your tree pose here, whatever your tree pose looks like to you. And I should have demoed this in the chair, but in the chair, it's the same thing. Finding your tree pose from your chair. Finding what feels good here. And then maybe with your hand on your balance object still, go ahead and point that tree knee forward. And then see if you can reach back and grab that foot. And if you fall out of it, don't worry. Just try again. See how that feels. Let's practice being kind to ourselves in our heads. Keeping your nice, deep yogic breaths. You might bring that hand up if it's not on your balance object. You may even, hand on balance object or not, start to lean forward a little bit into our dancer. If you were bent, coming back up straight, resting the hands down, setting the leg down. Go ahead and shake your legs out, maybe roll your ankles, roll your wrists. Good. Opening up wide, back to star pose. And again, if you're in your chair, your star pose just looks like this. You're just resting your sit bones on your chair. But from our star pose, go ahead and take a deep breath in, sweep the arms out and up above the head. And we're continuing with our open twist. So exhale, twist one direction, open twist. So one hand's in front of you, one hand's behind you. And then inhale back through center. Exhale, twist the other direction. Let's do that again. Inhale back through center. Exhale, open twist one side. Inhale back through center. Exhale, open twist the other way. Inhaling back through center. And this time we're gonna exhale and fold down. So reach down towards the floor. If you're in your chair, you might bring your hands to your blocks. If you are on your mat, you might reach towards the floor. Either your hands are dangling, which is fine, or maybe your hands are down on the floor. And then see if you can relax the back of your neck here. So really let the back of your neck relax. Maybe you bring your fingertips to the back of your neck and kind of tap it gently. And imagine that we're just pouring out any tension that's still in our bodies that didn't disappear yet for our yoga practice. It's just dumping out of the top of our head. And then when you're ready, tuck your chin and slowly, slowly, slowly roll up to stand. Back into our star pose. Go ahead and step your legs back together for our mountain pose. Our feet are right below us. Roll your shoulders back and take a moment of stillness in our mountain pose. And if you're in your chair, you're simply sitting up nice and straight, following along with the top of the body. Beautiful. So we did our kneeling sun salutations. I'm going to take us through a couple standing sun salutations just to get our heart rates up a little bit more before we try a new pose again. So you may want to turn to your side here on your mat, sweep the arms out and up. And if you're in your chair, following along with the top of your body here, and exhale, reach down towards your toes. Inhale, put your hands on your shins and straighten out your back so you're lifting up halfway. And then exhale, let your head dangle down here. And then go ahead and plant your hands and step your knees back. If you're in your chair, your hands are down on your blocks. So we're back into our tabletop position. And then lower all the way down onto our bellies. And then inhale, push up with your hands. You're coming into your cobra or upward dog pose, which just means that you're pushing up with your hands. You're getting a little bit of a back bend here. And then coming back into hands and knees, tucking the toes, lifting the hips into our downward dog. Again, if we're in our chair, our hands are on the blocks. And then we're just going to tiptoe our hands, our feet up behind our hands. And again, roll back up to standing. Sweep the arms out and up. And twist one direction here. Good. Sweep the arms out and up. And we'll twist the other direction. Sweep the arms out and up, back to center. And hands to heart center. Great. Coming back into our mountain pose, go ahead and widen your stance just a little bit. Point your toes out. And then bring your hands down to the floor in front of you. If you're in your chair, we're gonna come into our yogi squat. So if you are sitting in your chair here, your knees are right between, or your elbows are right between your knees. If you're seated on the floor, your hands might be on the floor, or they might be your hands at heart center in our yogi squat, finding what feels good for you here. And then we're just going to crawl back out into our tabletop position here, and go ahead and sit back on your feet. So if you're in your chair, we're finding a nice tall spine, and we're going to do a variation of camel pose. I don't know if you've done this before, but I had never done this variation of camel pose, so this one is new to me. But staying seated on our feet, we're gonna do this two different ways. We're going to, working with the top of our bodies, sweep the arms out and up, and then open twist towards your screen here, or just towards one direction. And then staying here, we're actually going to tilt our bodies so that our back hand is coming down to the floor, and our top arm is just gonna go as far as feels good, finding a nice side stretch. And then we're gonna come back up through our open twist. Good. Hands back up through center, reaching up towards the sky. And then we're gonna open twist the other direction. And then letting our back hand come down to the floor or to our chair. Just finding a nice side stretch here on our side. And then back up through our twist. Back up through our center. And relax the hands down. You can do that again, or if you would like a little more of a challenge, those of you on your mat, you might come high onto your knees and tuck your toes so that when we reach back, we're gonna touch our heels. But if that feels like too much, you can always stay seated on your heels and come down to the floor. If you're in your chair, it's gonna be much the same. So high knees or low knees, whatever feels good. Inhale, sweep the arms out and up. Exhale, open twist to one direction with our toes tucked under. You might start to tilt back. You might stay mid-tilt if that feels best, or you might reach back for your heel and stretch. If this feels like too much, simply lower the hips and come down. And then come back up through our twist and back up, hands reaching up through center, and open twist the other way. And then leaning back, so our hand might come to our chair, to our heel, or we might lower our hips and bring our hand to the floor. Whatever version of this pose feels best to you right now. And then hands back up through center. And hands to heart center. And you can come down. Taking a moment of stillness here. And then bringing our feet out in front of us. So if you're on your mat, just go ahead and lean back using your hands for support and swing your legs around to the front. If you're in your chair, you're simply straightening your legs out in front of you. And from here, we're going to start to slow down a little bit. And we're going to sweep the arms out and up. And we're going to fold down over our legs. Now, I like to keep my knees a little bit bent for this as we reach towards our toes. But you can do whatever feels best for you. Making a slight bend or more of a bend, but just reach towards your feet. You may grab your ankles, you may grab your feet, whatever feels best for you. And then again, see if you can relax the back of your neck here. Starting to slow our heart rate down a bit before we get it back up for our dance party at the end of class, of course. And then very slowly start to tuck your chin and roll our spine back up towards straight. And then bringing our soles of our feet together into our butterfly pose. So with the soles of our feet together, and if you're in your chair, you might have the soles of your feet together down on the floor. You might bring them up onto your blocks. You might bring them all the way up onto your chair if you would like. Whatever version of butterfly feels best for you. And you might lift and lower the knees a few times. And from here, I thought we would try one more new pose. So go ahead and grab the outside of one of your feet and start to straighten one leg. You might start to straighten it, it might come all the way straight, or you might keep your knee bent. We're just gonna see how that feels. I might be coming into it and out of it. But from our butterfly pose, we're just lifting one leg up. And let's do the other side. Up and down. Feeling a stretch along the back of the leg. And if your leg doesn't come to straight, don't worry about it. Keep a light bend in your knee. That's gonna feel good too. And then either staying in your butterfly pose, or if you would like to really challenge yourself and do something very new, you could grab both feet and start to lift them both up off the floor, really working your balance, maybe straightening one, maybe straightening both. The first several times I did this pose, I fell right over. So if that's you, pat yourself on the back for trying something new and wear it as a badge of honor. Maybe doing it again, or maybe staying in your butterfly pose. But we'll meet back in butterfly pose when you're ready with the soles of our feet together. And from butterfly pose, go ahead and bring your hands to the outside of your knees and push your knees up and together. And wrapping your hands around your knees, go ahead and give yourself a really big hug. We're gonna stay here for just a moment because I want us to thank ourselves for trying something new today, or maybe a few new things. And giving ourselves permission not to do everything perfectly. We're all beginners at something sometime. And from here, you might roll right down onto your back if that feels good, but we're gonna do a few minutes of relaxation together. So you might roll onto your back, you might come onto your side, you might grab a pillow or a cushion, bring your chair, you might just rest over whatever feels comfortable, but go ahead and find a nice comfortable resting position. And I like to close my eyes for these types of things, but you can keep your eyes open if that feels best. And then as if you're falling asleep, see if you can simply release some of your thoughts. You can send them all away or release them one at a time. And try and bring your awareness to your breath. Again, your eyes might be closed for this or they might be open. Just make sure that you're in a position where you can feel nice and relaxed. You don't have to look at the screen. You can simply listen to my voice. And allow your mind to become clear like a bright blue sky. And as thoughts start to come into your mind, imagine them as clouds in your clear blue sky, just drifting by. And we're just noticing these thoughts, noticing these clouds in our clear blue sky of a mind. And notice that each of them might be a little bit different. They might be familiar, they might be new, but just noticing them without any judgment and letting them be. And as we relax into this feeling, you may notice other sensations coming in, tingling in the hands and feet, any kind of tension that's holding on, and that's fine. See if you can just let it go. And let all those thoughts come and go. And remember that you are the sky through which the clouds move, through which your thoughts move. You're the sky, not the clouds. You are you, not your thoughts. So take a few more moments here to practice being the sky, our clear blue sky, our clear mind. And then when you're ready, wiggling your fingers and toes, maybe stretching the hands, stretching the feet out, rolling the wrists and the ankles. And then push yourself back up to a seated position if you were laying down. Coming into a cross-legged seat, or you can sit on your heels, whatever feels best for you. And then as we end our time together, I'd like us to think about what goals we may have set for 2021, maybe a fitness goal or a different kind of goal. And bringing one or all of those to mind and thinking about how we can always try to be our best selves, no matter what unexpected challenge, whatever new things may come our way, because we're ready. So taking one last deep Ujjayi breath together, let's sweep the arms out and up as we take a deep breath in. Hands come to touch and exhale as hands come all the way down to our heart. Thank you so much for doing yoga with me tonight. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. It's wonderful to have you here again, and I'm sure the athletes love this yoga workout. And I hope